This episode of Ham Talk Live is brought to you by Tower Electronics. For connectors, cables, and more, visit them at a Hamfest near you or call 920-435-2973 or online at pl-259.com.
It's Ham Radio with Neil Rapp. Here we go. Welcome to Ham Talk Live. Call in, let's talk. Neil's your guy. Ham Talk Live. Here we go on Ham Talk Radio.
Good evening, everyone. It's time for Ham Talk Live episode 118. From the National Contest Journal, the WRTC 2018 competitors. Recorded live on Thursday, June 7th, 2018. I'm your host, Neil Rapp, WB9VPG. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Ham Talk Live. Tonight, we're joined by the editor of the National Contest Journal, Dr. Scott Wright, K0MD, and the deputy editor, Dr. Fred Regennitter, K4IU, and we'll take your calls live in a little bit. Last week here on the show, Adam Whitney, K0FFY, and Josh Ward, W3ARD, were here to talk about the Walmart parking lots on the air. And another one's coming up on July 2nd. If you missed that show, you can listen anytime at hamtalklive.com, or you can listen to the podcast edition on your favorite podcast app, which could be Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeart Podcasts, Google Play, TuneIn, or SoundCloud, or you can catch us on YouTube and get your questions ready to go and call in tonight, and we may even have something special for you. You never know. So after the interview, you can call us. I'll go ahead and give you the number, but it's not time to call yet. It's 812-NET-HAM1, 812-638-4261, or you can Skype us. We're Ham Talk Live on Skype, and you can send a question via Twitter. Our Twitter handle is at Ham Talk Live. So I'll be back with Scott and Fred right after this word from Tower Electronics right here on Ham Talk Live.
Hey, honey, have you seen the PL259s anywhere?
No, I haven't. Come on, kids. Let's go. There's just one place to go for all of your connector needs.
Tower Electronics. Tower Electronics.
Tower Electronics. A giant warehouse of connectors and adapters for every occasion. Thousands to choose from in every shape, size, and color. And they have antennas, soldering supplies, cables, meters, and more. Where do you go if you want to buy a connector at a fraction of retail cost?
Tower Electronics. Tower Electronics.
Tower Electronics. And this weekend only, take advantage of our special liquidation sale. Buy 9 solder type PL259s, get the 10th one for just $1 penny. They make great Christmas presents. And what better way to say I love you than with the gift of a PL259?
Tower Electronics. Tower Electronics.
Tower Electronics.
Hi, I'm Scott Cole, KB9AMM, president of Tower Electronics. I like the company so much that I bought it.
Tower Electronics, coming to a Hamfest near you, or online at pl-259.com. And we're in the yellow pages under Amateur Radio Connectors.
My, wherever did you get that lovely PL259?
Tower Electronics, pl-259.com, or call 920-435-2973.
Do we sell PL259 connectors?
Running barefoot is for the beach. We're cranking 1.5 trillion nanowatts right here on Ham Talk Live.
I'd like to thank Scott and Jill at Tower Electronics for sponsoring the show tonight to help bring you Ham Talk Live. Coming up June 9th, they'll be in Newberry, Michigan. That's up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. June 17th, Monroe, Michigan. That's south of Detroit. And July 7th, Oak Creek, Wisconsin, which is the south side of Milwaukee. You can visit them online at pl-259.com. Well, our guest tonight, Dr. Scott Wright, K0MD, is the editor of the National Contest Journal. He's from Rochester, Minnesota, and Scott works for the Mayo Clinic teaching cardiology, which often takes him abroad where ham radio can go with him. And Scott is an excellent contester and been on several de-expeditions. Scott and I met when we were kids at an FCC test session in Louisville, Kentucky. And Scott became the editor of the National Contest Journal at the beginning of the year and has added some great content to the bi-monthly publication from ARRL. And Scott is a graduate of the University of Kentucky. And Dr. Fred Regennitter, K4IU, is the deputy editor of the National Contest Journal and a retired orthodontist and consummate DXer and contester. He traveled the world as an officer in the U.S. Army as an orthodontist, being stationed in Germany, Seoul, South Korea, and the Canal Zone, as well as across the United States, including the commander of orthodontics while stationed at Fort Knox, Kentucky. And his daughter Jill went to the University of Kentucky, where she majored in marketing and was a member of Big Blue Nation. And Fred taught at the other big university in Kentucky that Scott and I try not to talk about. That's the University of Louisville in the dental school, and was a member of the Kentucky contest group. And Fred now competes with wires in his backyard. He's a local contest mentor to hams in the Rochester, Minnesota area and a board member of the Minnesota Wireless Association. He's an active contester and is weekly in the CWT and nearly every weekend in a contest, but I guess we should call him Colonel Fred Regennitter, U.S. Army retired. So I don't know if it's Dr. Colonel or Colonel Doctor. I actually had to go look it up, and it says, no, it's Colonel. It's not Dr. Colonel or Colonel Doctor or whatever. So Scott and Fred, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Neil. I wonder if Fred's still on the line. I fear we lost him.
Oh, did we lose Fred? Oh, we may have lost him.
I really think your software is likely set up just to drop anyone who's affiliated with the University of Louisville, I suspect.
Yeah, that could be it. So let's see if we can get Fred back on the line. We had another call there going during the break, and that may have knocked Fred out. So, Fred, are you back?
Yeah, we're back. Thanks, Neil. Glad to be back.
All right. Thanks for catching that, Scott. I just read all the bio stuff here. So welcome to the show, Fred.
Thank you. Good to be back with you and Scott.
Now, in honor of Scott going, to the University of Kentucky, and I went to the University of Kentucky for a while, and your daughter going to the University of Kentucky, I thought maybe we need a moment of silence to play the UK fight song. Would that be acceptable, Fred?
Most appropriate.
Most appropriate. Okay. So we had to get the Big Blue Nation stuff in there, whenever I can. So, all right, well, we got that in, but we're going to talk about WRTC tonight, and we're proud to announce that Ham Talk Live will be live from Wittenberg, Germany on the day the competitors arrive at the headquarters hotel, which is Thursday, July 12th. And Ed Durant, DD5LP, will be there via Skype to talk with some of the competitors passing through the lobby there before the opening ceremonies. So be sure to tune in to Ham Talk Live. It'll be at a special time on July 12th. Instead of 9 p.m., it'll be 8 a.m. Eastern Time, which is 2 p.m. in Germany, or 1200 Zulu. And, of course, we'll have it on demand so you can listen after that. But we'll be live at 8 a.m. Eastern Time on the July 12th episode. So Let's tear right into it here. We were fortunate to have Doug Grant, K1DG, on the show back in January to talk about what goes on at WRTC. But this week we want to take a look at the teams that will be competing in the event. There's some great human interest stories here to tell. And Scott and Fred teamed up to interview as many WRTC teams as they could for the May-June issue of the National Contest Journal, which is on sale now. So let's talk about some of the front runners for this event. And we were kind of joking around, if Vegas had odds on WRTC, if you could rate them, like at Keeneland.
They're off in the Breeders' Cup Mile. Obviously did not have a good start and will not go to the front, at least not yet. Tepin is out of the gate quicker. And there goes
so we can handicap the whole field and come up with odds here. So if we get some odds going, Scott, who are your front runners?
Neil, that is a great question. And I looked on Nate Silver's 538.com website, and I couldn't find any rankings. And of course, the WRTC2018.de website doesn't list. So I guess I'm going to go out on a limb here. So I'm going to give the odds as 5-8 that the defending champions will win again. If one looks at Chris and I'm blanking on the other ones, N6MJ, Dan Craig. If one looks at their performance in contests, they really are in the stratosphere. Dan Craig, N6MJ, often does SO3R when he's operating by himself. So he's got one radio in the left ear and two radios going into the right ear, and he can do something on three bands. And I think he can do more contacts in an hour than most of us can do in a half a day. And Chris is very good as well with SO2R. Now, there are a number of other competitors like Nate N4, I think it's YDU from North Carolina, also can do that. So we have some really tremendously talented young operators. But I think if one looks at the margin of victory in 2014 and the sheer performance in contests between then and now, I really think the defending champions are most likely going to win again. There's been nothing to suggest they have not remained at the top. So that's who I think is likely to win. Neil, I think if you look at OM3BH, Rasty and his partner Joseph, OM3GI, they came in number 2 the last time. If anyone gives a serious run to Dan and to Chris, it'll be those two. I think any of the German teams are especially competitive. Manfred and Stefan, DJ5MW and DL1IAO are good. I personally think Frank and Winifred, DL2CC and DK9IP are very competitive. I mean, Frank loves CW, and Fred and I are both CW ops guys, so what more can we say? And then I think any of the Russian stations run a very good chance of winning. So not trying to hedge here, but I think probably the likely winners are going to come one team from the U.S., and then the next two will likely be from Europe, either from Slovakia or from Germany. I also think that you can never underestimate K1DG, who was on your show the last time. He wants a bronze medal badly, and I could see Doug placing third in this contest. I also think K9VV and VE3EJ, they came so close to last time, they could end up in the top 3 as well. So lots of opportunities. And I guess the other team that I really ought to mention, who I think has a real shot at placing in the top 3, are Krasie, K1LZ, and Y09GZU, his partner. They did a tremendous job in the last WRTC, and I think Krasie's hungry to win the whole contest. So don't be surprised to see him make a move on the inside to try to pull up as the contest goes on. And finally, I just want to say, I think based on his ARRL DXCW performance in Tango India 7 Whiskey, which will be featured in the upcoming edition of National Contest Journal, Nate N4YDU and his partner Cam N3KS also, I think, have the potential to place anywhere in the top 4. Can they overtake Dan and Chris? I don't know. And I think it's hard to say. Fred, those are my predictions. What are yours?
Well, we asked this question of the respondents, and so they, each one of them had a chance to kind of tell us who they favored and why they thought, they might be winners. They felt the top finishers in the last WRTC would have the better odds, of course. And some gave the EU teams the edge, as you said, with the German teams. But within the 63 teams, you've got it all. You have age diversity. I mean, I think the ages range from, some of the youth, 15 to age 77, Marv N5AW. There's gender diversity. There's career and equipment diversity. There's lots of variables that take into account, and every skill that you acquire, kind of doubles your odds of success. I like dark horses. I think everybody likes dark horses. I don't think. Okay,
I'm going to give you two dark horses then. Okay.
Okay.
These are both sponsored teams.
All right. I was going to say
N6XI and AE6Y. They are a sponsored team, but they're premier contesters, and I would never, ever bet against K3LR and DL1QQ. I think they will do very well as well.
Yeah, I think Sandy, DL1QQ, has got kind of the inside scoop on some of the propagation variations that, they have in Germany as opposed to here in the States. And Tim was actually over there last year. And then, what's not to like about the youth teams, okay? And we know a couple of them, so, youth of enthusiasm.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, if you look at the WPX contest a couple of weeks ago, CET-MVF, who, by the way, now is Charlie Echo 2 Lima Radio, and Bryant, Kilo Golf 5 Hotel Victor Ocean, scored over 2 million points with dipoles in the tree from Alabama and with low power. They are tremendous operators and contesters. Never underestimate Matias. That guy's a competitor. He nearly qualified himself with a small station in the central part of Chile, going up against some of the big stations in South America. And then, of course, HA8RT and YO8TTT, both are high-speed telegraphy champions and contesters. HA8RT, I think, has been mentored by his father, unless I have him switched with YO8TTT. So, boy, the youth teams could make a run here, too. I think contesting is a learned skill. So I'm not predicting any of the youth teams to win, because I think in 10 years' time, they will be like N6MJ and KL9A, Dan and Chris. They'll be at the top. But right now, I think they're still learning the techniques.
Hey, you've probably seen that cartoon, and perhaps some of Neil's listeners have as well. This cartoon goes something like that. They say old age and treachery will always beat youth and experience. There's something to be said for experience. But youth, no boundaries and no fears, and no expectations either.
Now, I also want to stress that I would not rule out Wildcard Team 4, K1DG and N2NT. They are phenomenal. They are phenomenal.
Now, let me ask this. We were joking around and saying, well, the betting odds, and we're handicapping everybody and figuring this out. But is there a home team advantage? Do you think the Germans are going to have a significant advantage over everybody else?
I think any of the European teams have a home team advantage. I don't think propagation in Germany is materially different than Slovenia or Slovakia or Hungary. I think it's like saying, does someone from Indiana have an advantage over someone from Illinois, Kentucky, or Ohio? The answer is the propagation is pretty similar. If you get in the northern latitudes, like where we live, it's tougher, and that would be the same for the OH guys. But remember, Rasty and Joseph came in number 2 despite coming from propagation-challenged OH. I'm sorry, they're from Slovakia, OM. But the OH stations, I don't know that they have an advantage based on that. I think they're going to find different propagation in Central Europe.
Well, the antennas in the locations are all standardized. They're set power limits. So propagation is a variable. Weather is another variable, but it affects all of the competitors equally. There's some differences in equipment, and then nobody can rule out Murphy.
Yeah. Now, what do you think? What do you think on these youth teams? What do you? They are preparing and running all these contests and trying to do all this stuff. But what do you think it means to have them in the competition?
Well, we've had the good fortune to meet both Xenia, ZL4YL, and Bryant, KG5HVO. Actually, Bryant was at Contest U a couple of years ago, and most recently we saw Xenia at Visalia. And they're pretty impressive young people, and with lots of enthusiasm. And I've worked both of them on the air. They've got skills.
Yeah, and I know Matthias from my time in Chile, CE2 MVF, who, by the way, is now CE2 Lima Radio. He's been mentored by CE3 CT and VE7 Sugar Victor. By the way, VE7 Sugar Victor is a competitor in the contest. But Matthias, or Chucky as his friends call him, that guy's got incredible energy. And I've never seen anyone who can work a pile-up and correspond with me on WhatsApp about when I'm coming and how the bands are here versus there. So I say jokingly, he can do SO3R, 2 rigs at once, on his WhatsApp iPhone. So,
well, and remember, Brian was a young man who was first keying his doing the CW, keying his mic.
Yeah, now with a Bengali key, I would say watch out. That guy's going to be on a roll. He's going to tear it up on sideband and CW. I think he's probably going to be doing CW while Chucky is doing sideband.
Well, now, we've got an interesting situation that came up just in the last couple of days here. And I was joking that, okay, I'm going to take the long shot. We've got a team without a leader.
Oh, I wouldn't. Look, there's going to be a number of people who apply for that, all of whom are good contesters. We have a lot of people who didn't make the competition, who came in second or third in their regions. And my guess is you're going to see a top-tier contester jump in and work with Delta Lima 1 Charlie Whiskey to represent Africa. But they'll never underestimate that, Neil. I wouldn't bet that as a long shot.
Yeah, so one of the competitors had to drop out, and so they're looking for a replacement. So, you never know. You just you don't know what could happen, and so we'll keep the odds down, I guess, on that one.
Well, I also want to mention, Pat Barkey, N9 Romeo Victor, the editor of NCJ before me. Pat's going over there with a plan to win. He and N6TR. So don't be surprised if Pat surfaces in the top 3 as well as K3PA, biomedical engineer in Kansas. He has done extraordinarily well in contests and won the Zero competition. And so those are 2 other names that you may not think about, but they have every opportunity to go for the gold on this as well.
Well, speaking of spots to fill, Ed Durant, DD5LP, who is going to be our correspondent during WRTC live here on the show, he couldn't be with us tonight because in Germany it's 2 a.m. right now, but he wants to pass along his regards to both of you for all the work that you put into NCJ. But he is working with the organizing committee and media and some other things and wanted me to pass along the need for a few more volunteers. If you're going to Germany during WRTC to visit or for another reason, please consider volunteering. I'll read this here that he sent me. The WRTC organizing committee is looking for another dozen volunteers to support the 65 contest sites. They need help putting up antennas and tents, making sure the generators don't run out of fuel, act as security so that we don't have any interruptions during the competition time. And if you're visiting to see what's happening, this is a great way to become a part of the event and take away some great memories. So new volunteers will be teamed up with trained, experienced ones. So if you think that you can't help, well, yeah, you can. And you don't have to speak German either. English is fine. So Ed says otherwise everything is on schedule and the finances are good. Of course, you can always use more donations, but they're in pretty good shape, but they do need a few more volunteers to kind of lighten the load. So if that applies to you, they are looking for that, and the website, WRTC2018.de. So we're going to take a break right now, and then we're going to come back and talk a little more and take your calls. And we'll talk about some of the other teams that we haven't dived into just yet. But we're also going to give away something here after a while. So call in, you may get a chance to win here. But we'll be back after this word from the National Voice of America Museum of Broadcasting right here on Ham Talk Live.
The National Voice of America Museum of Broadcasting, located in Westchester, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati, is only 2 minutes off I-75. The museum is the former home of the Voice of America Bethany Relay Station. Tours are now available every Saturday and Sunday from 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. You can see the control room, a 200,000-watt transmitter, and the most comprehensive collection of inventions by the iconic Powell Crosley Jr. Also on display is a huge antique radio exhibit and R.L. Drake's personal collection of most every Drake amateur rig ever made. This is a unique opportunity to see amateur radio in action and have a chance to get on the air from WC8 VOA. Admission is only $5 a person. The museum is located close to historic WLW-AM and tons of shopping and restaurants. Take a trip to the VOA Museum or visit us online at voamuseum.org.
You're listening to Ham Talk Live with Neil Rapp. Yesterday, my XYL said she'd leave me if I didn't give up ham radio. Over.
Ham Talk Live's on the air every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time right here at hamtalklive.com. And be sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And right now it's time for your calls. So if you have a question for Scott or Fred, give us a call. Again, that number is 812-NET-HAM-1. That's 812-638-4261. Or you can Skype us. We're Ham Talk Live on Skype, and we're also on Twitter at Ham Talk Live. So if you have a question or comment, be sure to send it our way, because that's what we're here for, is to get your input during the show. So, Scott, let's pick up here. We want to talk a little bit about jet lag and some of the radios and how that's going to affect, what equipment they're bringing over, how that's going to affect things.
Yeah, thanks, Neil. As you mentioned at the beginning of the show, I travel enough internationally to suffer from jet lag every other month or two. And I think that's going to be a factor for everyone flying into Europe, whether it's Asia or the United States. I've asked a number of the competitors if they plan to go about a week early to acclimate, and almost none of them have. And I think people are underestimating how tired they're going to be. For your own biological system, about 2 p.m. in the afternoon and 2 a.m., you hit a low where your cortisol is low and you're just ready to take a nap or fall asleep. And I think, with the competition, a lot of our friends who are going over from the United States and Canada are going to find themselves having that tough feeling during a contest, even worse because of jet lag. So if anything, I think that gives a bit of an advantage to anyone who lives within an hour or two of Central European time, which is German time. So we'll see if that's a factor. In the May-June issue of NCJ, we featured Martin, who's going to be using a Hilberling. I think it's only appropriate that at least one German amateur use a Hilberling in the contest. Those are wonderful radios. I don't own one, but I've looked at them at Dayton, and they sort of represent the best of German engineering in transceivers. So that's interesting. I know the defending champs are taking ICOM 7851s over. Tim Duffy and Sandy are going to use 7610 ICOMs. Probably 20% of the participants are using ICOM radios. About half are using Elecraft K3 or K3S radios. And that's not a surprise. It's a tremendous contest rig, and it's very lightweight. And then there's a mixture, Yaesu, and a couple of people are taking new Flex 6600Ms over. So we're going to get to see a real test of all the different radios, superhets and SDRs, and it'll be really interesting to see how they hold up and perform in that very close-in transmitter environment with very loud signals on the bands, because I suspect a lot of the Europeans are going to be running more than 100 watts to work all of the stations.
That was an aspect of the article interviews that we had to compress towards the very end of the article, the equipment and the software and the radios, because there's quite some detail that the teams listed. They didn't go into all of their secret strategies, but that was an area that we kind of overlooked. But think about those, 27851s being hauled around in the overhead luggage, on a 10-hour flight.
Oh yeah, and just think about how the shoulders and backs are going to hurt from lifting a 90-pound Pelican case, even just to move it to the rental car. I don't envy that. I've taken some 70-pound Pelican cases with ICOM, smaller ICOM radios and ACOM amplifiers when I've been overseas, and that's heavy enough. Fred and I can laugh about the time we came back from VP5, and I stopped halfway to the car at the Minneapolis airport and said, I got to find something to pull this thing. I'm tired. And he said, no, I'll carry it the rest of the way, and he picked it up and carried it. It's not inconsequential. Neil, this is probably the first WRTC, at least to my knowledge, where there's a father-daughter team who qualified. We have Holger, ZL3IO or ZL2IO, and his daughter Xenia, ZL4YL. And Holger qualified from the Pacific Rim from New Zealand. Holger's originally from Germany, and his wife is also a ham. She's from Germany. But they live and work in New Zealand because they wanted to experience that climate and raise their daughters there. And their youngest daughter, Xenia, is a very active contester. Fred and I both met her at Visalia, and Fred worked her in the WPX contest. She is a very competitive contester for a 15-year-old. And I have to say, they had the luck of the Irish. They each won a brand new transceiver while they were in Visalia. So, their luck may be continuing on at WRTC.
812-638-4261 is the phone number. If you want to give us a call and chime in, now's the time to do that. 812-638-4261, or you can tweet us at hamtalklive. So, yeah, the father-daughter team, had a chance to talk to them, and Holger, just decided, it sure makes the meetings a lot easier, and she's doing well in CW, and it just made sense to go ahead and do it.
And she's developed their strategy. I think Xenia is going to stay on 20 meters the entire contest and run for 24 hours. That's my understanding of what she's derived as their strategy. They've analyzed the logs of the last 4 WRTCs and looked at the top 5 finishing teams versus the others, and they put a lot of thought into this. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting and exciting to watch. Roberto Ramirez, Charlie Echo 3 Charlie Tango, is one of our new contributing editors at NCJ. We'll be introducing him in the next issue, but he's going to give us a article about WRTC right after the competition. So I'm hopeful in the September-October issue of NCJ we will have an article about the competition, the winners, and how the contest went.
Now, Fred, did you have any teams that just there was a story there that kind of stood out to you?
Well, I think Xenia and Holger's story was probably the most notable one. I like the fact that the E7 Sugar Victor is coming back for like his 7th time, so he's got this longevity. Marv, N5AW, he's got this... he's 77 years old, and I hope that when I get to that age, I can hang in there with the big guns too. I mean, these are all giants, Neil, and there's 63 participants who are just, the best of the best contesters, and just to get there is an honor. So there are nothing really jumps out at me with the team selections or how one team member would choose another, other than they've been competitors and they've been friends, and hey, you want to go to WRTC with me, and let's do it.
2 stuck out to me, Neil, that Fred hasn't mentioned yet that I think are worth mentioning. John Crivoli, W2GD, and Bud, AA3 Bravo. They're both premier contesters, both over 50, shall we say. John's been at WRTC before. He is a tremendous CW guy. Goes 40, 45 words a minute constantly. And then Renko, 403A, and Echo 73 Alpha are a sponsored team. These guys are tremendous contesters, and And Renko, of course, develops world-class contesting technology. I have some of his stuff in my home, in my station. So the engineering behind this, I think it will be fascinating to watch the engineering that K3LR and 403A and a couple of others will bring, just to see what they do to really mitigate noise and mitigate interference and to give them advantage in hearing the weak stations. These contests are won and lost not by working the loud stations or the medium-sized stations. It's how many can you work who are weak to keep your run rates as fast as possible.
Yeah, and then also reduce the error rates and pass multipliers, and finding the right optimal mix of single sideband and CW QSOs, because this is a dual mode contest, and that takes a little strategizing as well. But passing those multipliers and keeping the error rates down, as well as maintaining the rate, is so critical to the ultimate winner.
Yeah,
812-638-4261 if you have a question here or a comment, and Scott, you've got something to give away here too.
Yeah, I do, Neil. I wanted to say also, if you are a contester but not one who ever thinks you can win a contest, listen to some of these operators on the air after they come back. For example, K1DG and N2 November Tango operated V47 Tango. And I've operated from the Caribbean and sideband NCW contests, and I listened to them, the last CQ contest they did, and I learned something. They are just one constant going machine. They can make a run like no one else can. So I think, look these calls up when you're on the next contest and just spend 5 minutes listening to how they work pileups. You'll learn a lot about very effective contesting tactics.
Well, you've got something there to give away, and we're getting toward the end of the show here, so I thought I might go ahead and bring that up. All of this, information that we're talking about tonight, the WRTC competitors and some of these teams are featured in the National Contest Journal, and Scott has a chance for someone who's not a subscriber to the National Contest Journal to pick one up for free tonight. So tell us about that.
Yeah, we do. The ARRL has provided a free subscription tonight, available to any of your callers or people who tweet who don't subscribe, with a question that you pick up and use during the interview. So hopefully someone will take advantage of this short-term but great opportunity. As they say on television, operators are standing by.
Or sometimes they're standing.
Yes.
Bye. And they take off. So give us a call, 812-638-4261. And if you're not a current subscriber to NCJ, we have a prize for you. And let's talk a little bit about the journal for a minute. We've got all this stuff going on with WRTC, but there's a lot of other things that are going on in there.
There are. It's a great journal. It is the Journal of Radiosport. It's a wonderful journal. It was started back in the 70s by K0 Tango Ocean. Todd Olson started it in his kitchen in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Todd was the first but not the last editor. It's gone through a number of editors. Since Fred and I took over, we've expanded it a bit in terms of its focus. We have a next-gen contributing editor, you, Neil, do a fabulous job. We have a DX editor coming on board. We have a new editor, Mark Aker, K6UFO, who will be talking about remote contesting in every issue. And, of course, we have really well-respected and well-recognized contributing editors, Mike Goldstein, who writes the Little Pistols page, Don Dazzo on Towers, K4ZA, Ed Munns on RIDI contesting, W0 Yankee Kilo, Gary Sutcliffe on contest tips, tricks, and techniques, who's a well-known contester and writes great articles, as well as John Jones on VHF, UHF contesting. We also sponsor the NAQP QSO parties and sprints, and we hope to grow the journal. We've had some articles this year on propagation, on what makes a good receiver, what are the characteristics of a good solid-state amplifier, and also some good ones on contesting retrograde. Coming up in the next issue, we have an interview with retired Admiral Scott Redd, who was a well-known contester. He won all 6 major contests at one point, and also was honored by one of our presidents with the highest level of honor that any soldier can get. We have an article with a fairly new contester who's in his 60s, retired, and won the CQ Rookie Award. I think you're doing an article on Holger and Xenia and her rise as a next-gen contester. And then we have part 3 of Peter Chadwick's article on what makes a great receiver. This is the best of the best part. The third part's the best part. So I'm really looking forward to it coming out. I saw the proofs today of it. So we're very, very close to mailing the journal off to the printer and having it hopefully in everyone's home by WRTC. Also want to encourage. Go ahead, Fred.
Yeah, no, and John Thompson, K3 MD, does our surveys and book reviews, and he's a great source.
Oh, I'm very sorry. I should have mentioned John. John does tremendous book reviews and surveys. He's got both coming up in the next edition. Thank you, Fred. And, of course, Fred is the deputy editor and does a superb job, and I appreciate his willingness to work with me and to travel with me. Also, in the next issue, we have some new things that I saw at Visalia and Dayton that will be helpful for contesters to make your shack a better place to operate. So stay tuned. Maybe a couple new radios that are being mentioned. A new SDR, 2 new SDRs, excuse me. I'm sorry, 3 new SDRs. There are more SDRs than superhets now, believe it or not. And then, of course, 4 new SDRs. I guess I should have added this all up in my head, Neil. We have a Yaesu SDR coming out. We have the MB1 from the electronics group out of Russia, where a young ham designed it as a graduate school thesis, and now he's turned it into a company. We have the 7610 by ICOM, an SDR that I own. We have the Flex 6600M and 6400M featured, which will be SDRs at WRTC along with the 7610. And then we have a little story about the new Kenwood 890S. And, of course, a new antenna design for the person who's got a small real estate area, a good vertical for 80 and 40 that will be powerful for DXing and contesting. And then a whole bunch of other things that I think people will find of interest.
There's a lot of content, Neil, and we can't always get it between the the front and back cover. And that's where another unsung hero, Kirk K4RO, can put it on the NCJ webpage. So we have some of the articles that spill over into the webpage.
Very good. And remind everybody how they can sign up for the NCJ.
Go to the ARRL website, arrl.org. In the search tab at the top, type in NCJ, and then it will take you directly to the link, and you can pay there by credit card or PayPal for a 1-year subscription, 6 issues delivered to your home QTH and anywhere in the world at a very good price.
All right, so that's the current issue of NCJ and what's coming up, and you should check it out. It's got some really good information in there for contesters and DXers. So,
and hopefully, if there's a lucky caller tonight, we'll be able to give a new subscription away.
Yeah, we need that phone to ring.
Yep, 812-638-4261, and we are just about out of time. So, if you're going to call, this is the time to do it. And also want to mention that the 100 watts to wire tune-up started just a few hours ago. So that's a chance to get out and check out your field day equipment and get on the air. So that'll be running this weekend. And also want to invite you to leave us a review on Ham Talk Live if you like what you're hearing. Leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you listen. That helps us out. So. Okay, the phone's not ringing, and we know that most people listen to the replay. So what if I propose this, Scott? What if we tweet out a question from the episode, and then we'll do a drawing from the responses from that? Does that sound like a good plan?
Neil, that's a wrap.
That's a wrap. He was just waiting to do that. You know that.
I waited the entire show.
All night. He's been waiting to do that.
All right. So we'll send out a question on social media, and we'll take the responses, and out of the correct responses, we'll take a winner for that free year's subscription to NCJ if you are not a current subscriber. So we will do that, and we want to thank everybody that did listen in tonight live, and we'll be listening on the podcast or on the on-demand version. But guys, let's go ahead and, as Scott says, let's wrap this up. Any last thoughts here before we get off the air?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things they didn't get into the article was that there's been a tremendous effort by our German friends to coordinate this, and it's a tireless job, and the fundraising by ambassadors here and abroad, and it's just been that's a story that is it should be not forgotten.
That's right. I have to say, Neil, that the Society of Midwest Contesters has 3 tents. The Minnesota Wireless Association, in collaboration with the Rochester DX and Contest Club, has a tent, and most other contest clubs in North America have 1 or 2 tents. And we just appreciate the generosity of everyone who's reached into their wallet and put in some money away from their spending on equipment and antennas to make this an event a possibility. And my hat's off to all the German organizers for the great job they've done. And Neil, I just want to say congratulations on this show. It's one of my favorite podcasts. It is a great asset for ham radio. Thank you again for promoting contesting, promoting the National Contest Journal. And, it's just great to also watch all the people that you mentor at the Bloomington South High School. You are one of the real movers and shakers in making ham radio reach into the next generation. And I'm not surprised. The enthusiasm you had when I met you when you were 5 continues to permeate all you do with the hobby. So, Neil, my hat, and I know Fred would say the same, is tipped to you tonight for what you do. Thanks for all you do for the hobby and for really promoting contesting.
Thanks, Neil.
Well, thank you guys for coming on, and thanks for the kind words, and we look forward to more editions of the National Contest Journal and more editions of Ham Talk Live. But that's a wrap for this week. And thanks to Dr. Scott Wright, K0MD, and Dr. Fred Regennitter, K4IU, and everybody out there in cyberspace for listening. And we invite you back next Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And for our upcoming guests, just go to hamtalklive.com, click on the schedule link, and you can find out who's going to be on in the near future. So for now, this is Neil Rapp, WB9VPG, saying 7375, and may the good DX be yours.